Happy Friday and welcome to UL Trades. Today is my trade recap for July the 14th, Friday the 14th. So today was a good day, especially after yesterday's debacle. Overall, things are going actually really very well. Yesterday as an exception, and really yesterday's issue obviously was technical. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. Technical issues yesterday, user error, so it was my fault, but it wasn't really trade related. It was more system related. So I'm feeling very, very good right now, which sometimes you have to be careful of because you can be the feeling of overconfidence when you're doing well is almost as, or even potentially more dangerous than the feeling of, like you're gonna lose every trade. So I like the feeling of confidence. Let's hope that we can continue. So where did we end up today? Today was the biggest single day I've had since I started this process. So it was a good day. So just a quick recap. We're trading 20 eval accounts. I have 9 $25,000 eval accounts and 11 $50,000 eval accounts. There's a reason it's kind of split up like that, but it doesn't really matter. Won't go into that. The $50,000 accounts are ones that I just started yesterday. So yesterday was day 1 in those accounts. Today is day 2. $25,000 accounts hit day 7 today. So I was hoping, obviously, to have the $25,000 accounts done today. However, I am pleased with the steady progress that I've had. I'm on day, this will be day 5 or 6. Let's say 5. I think it's 6, but day 5 at least of either break even or positive days. No big steps back. So a positive overall curve is a good thing. So we're gonna continue that momentum. And so because I've been pretty consistent the last several days, I did change my strategy a little bit today to increase my position size. So if you're new to trading, the way you make more money in trading is not by looking for bigger moves usually. Typically what you want to do is you want to dial in your process with very small position sizes. And once you're comfortable with that, then you can slowly step up the position size to get to where you want to be. So I'm pretty comfortable with my strategy at this point. I haven't lost a trade in oil. I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. I'd have to go check for sure. But I know I had 3 trades yesterday that were winners. The 1 trade today, so that's 4 in a row. And the day before, I'm pretty sure, what did I have? 2 good trades? So we're on a little bit of a winning streak. So I'm feeling pretty confident. And so going into today, and this is a big sort of psychological struggle for me because I'm always trying to get out of trades. So if I'm in a trade and it's positive a little bit, I always want to sell. Take it while I can because I'm afraid it's going to be ripped away from me, right? And so I've actually been going through these exercises of okay. And if you read, is it Tom Hogarth? His book, The Biggest Loser Wins. He goes through kind of this mental exercise where you visualize losing and you visualize winning and waiting and basically going through the whole process in your head so that when it comes game time, when you're actually in the trade, you've done it before, you know how to react. So even though the emotions are still there, even though you still want to behave that same way, you've practiced restraining yourself. And so I did a smaller version of that today, and it worked out. So instead of doing 1 or 2 contracts, I did 4 contracts in my $25,000 accounts, which is the most you can do in those accounts. And then I doubled it in the $50,000 account. So I was doing 4 contracts in the $25,000 accounts, 8 contracts in the $50,000 accounts. In oil, I did have 1 trade in gold I'll show to you that ended up break even. I actually got 1 slippage, 1 tick of slippage on my stop loss. So I ended up losing technically $10 or something off of that. So that's where we're at. So on the $50,000 accounts, we're up $1,153, and also we're at 51,202. And on the small accounts, these balances are all a little bit different. It looks like the best one is maybe this guy here at 25,923. So one more trade like this, and this account would be good to go. So my trading day started, the same time it always starts, but I had to leave mid-morning to go pick my wife up from the airport. So I'm glad I was able to get a trade in. I came back this afternoon and looked at it, and it's a good day. Why mess with it? So I'm just going to call it a day now. It's 1:30 in the afternoon Central Time. That's where we're at. So looking good. So with any luck, next week, early next week, we should have at least the $25,000 accounts done. Maybe even the $50,000 accounts, even though we'll have a couple trading days left to do to get the 7 days. So that's that. I'll go over the trade real quick. This was the trade in oil. I was looking at, or not oil, I'm sorry, this is gold. Yeah, this is gold. So pre-market, gold was reacting to this line pretty good. Okay. So, it's always nice to see kind of that market rhythm, right? And so when gold opened, it pushed up, opened at 7:20 my time, pushes up past the overnight open. We come down and we retest this overnight open along with the 1 minute 9 EMA. Normally I'll stay out of gold gold unless there's something that really sets up nicely. And this was one I felt was worth the risk. If I was using my other ATM strategy, I would have made some money on it, but I only did one contract. And I was looking for 20 ticks, and so I got in right as the candle, my order was right above this candle as soon as it pierced the EMA. And then when this candle closed, I moved it down here. And then on this candle, it ticked me in at 1965.90. It did run up 11 ticks before it eventually ended up rolling down. So my ATM strategy has me moving to break even at 10 ticks. And so, like I said, I got 1 tick of slippage, so it was little worse than break even, but that's okay. I was kind of looking at this thinking, well, sometimes gold will just kind of run for a while. And that's what I was, in it for. If it decided to take off, I just wanted to be part of that. So it decided not to, so that's fine. Then we waited for oil, my favorite friend over here. Not a lot happened pre-market. Sometimes at 7:30 you get some movement, but nothing this morning. It was just kind of hum-hawing along. And actually I was afraid it was going to be a pretty dull day, because a lot of times when you're just kind of hovering in this area pre-market, sometimes it stays there. But not today. It broke out of it. And let's see what we got. So we started up here, kind of bouncing around, and then all of a sudden we shot down. Okay. I don't know if there was, I don't know why, but price kind of pushed down hard. This was a little more dangerous, because when you get these big moves like that, there can be big moves, and I only want to allow a 10 tick stop loss. I mean, this is, 40 tick candle or 30 tick candle, 51 to 83, 30 tick candle. So a lot of price moving can make things kind of hairy, but it pushed down. We're below all the average moving averages. We come up here to kind of this midpoint of the opening range box. And even though the opening range hasn't been fully formed, right? It hasn't been 15 minutes yet. We had, a lot of price movement. And so, I felt pretty comfortable this was about where I was going to land. On top of that, we tested the mid range of the box. We tested the 1 minute 9 EMA, which in a hard push usually does better. And so I went ahead and got into it. So got in with 4 contracts. The way that I have this ATM strategy set up is I have it set to sell 2 contracts at 10 ticks, at which point it moves my stop loss on the remaining 2 to break even. And then it'll trail 10 after that. Okay. So my thought process is that if I get into this trade, these trades have a very high likelihood of moving at least 10 ticks in my direction. And so worst case scenario, I get the 10 ticks on 2 contracts. I get stopped out for break even on the other 2. I lose a little bit of trailing drawdown, but not much. And then on the on the upside, you can, there's a pretty good upside too. This one, I'll admit, I was pretty proud of myself because this one did kind of move around a lot before I eventually hit my 10 ticks, and then it started to pull back. And I waited through these candles, and I had to keep telling myself, just let it go. If it stops you out for break even or a little bit more than break even, it is what it is. Trying to train myself to follow my process. And I'm glad I did. I followed my process. It actually came down, and look at that. It hit 20 ticks at the exact bottom of this candle. So maybe I got lucky. I don't know, but I'll take it. I'll take it. I mean, the trailing stop was 10 ticks behind, so even if it didn't quite make it, I still would have been okay. And that was it. That was a trade. I was done. So I did kind of wait and watch. We come here and we pull down. So technically, just for, I'm really not sure how this works. Clearly, if you looked at this, the EMA is coming down, right? My problem with this, or the reason that I wasn't 100% confident, was because price never pulled away from the EMA to come back. And that's kind of what you want to see. I was hoping this would come back and touch the 5-minute 9 EMA, and I would have got in again. But because we never really pulled away, I mean, even price right here, there's a little bit of a gap, but it's not, there's not that separation. And so we really just kind of rode it, so could you have got in? Well, it did create a new pivot low, kind of pulled back up, smooth pullback. But again, it wasn't really pulling back to the line. It was just following the line. So I wasn't comfortable with it. It would have worked, but I did not get in that. And then it just kind of did the same thing. I mean, it just kind of rode it down. I mean, I guess if you were using that as your stop loss, it would have worked out pretty good, and you get a double bottom. That's a good signal to get out of that trade. But that's neither here nor there. This was actually right before I left. Let me stretch this out. So let's look at this. This is the first touch, maybe the second touch. I don't know if you count this as the first touch after a cross, because we're above, we come below. Technically, this does come back up, so maybe this is the second touch of this 21 SMA. I don't know. That might be being a little too persnickety, but we do come back to it, and I almost took this one. It was just going sideways, and that, I wasn't super comfortable with that, even though this was bouncing off of the bottom of the open range, which would have, essentially you're taking an entry at the 9 EMA, a bounce off of the 21 SMA with additional support of the open range box. So in retrospect, this would have been a good trade. I was being protective of my, $1,200 I just made, though. I didn't want to chance giving any of it back. So it wasn't quite clean enough, but again, it worked. And then later this afternoon, when I was not around, the next touch comes up here, and this one works as well for, it's got to go 10 for me to be happy with it, from 70 down to 56. All right, so we went 14 ticks before it wound up here and came down again. So that would have been a winning trade. Now technically this technically fits the criteria as well. Okay, we came down below, we pushed back above, came down below, created a pivot here, which is, it's not the low of day, but it is the lowest it's been in, I don't know, an hour, maybe not quite an hour, from 11:30, 10:46, about 45 minutes. That's, we've got a clear downtrend here. So there's a lot going for this trade. So we come up for a test, one tick down, boom, there's your easily 20 ticks. Could have got a lot more off of that one. Okay, first touch. Here's your second touch of this 21 SMA. Boom, in, boom. just dropped. So, if that's all I was doing today, the title of this video is that one trade. Well, right now that's the one trade is as a rejection off of this guy, this 21 SMA. I mean, it printed here. So each of these trades, each of these $1,200 trades, I could have got 1, 2. This one wouldn't have. This would have been a $600, or no, would have been probably a $300 or $400 trade. So that's it. That's what I got. So it was a great day. We made a lot of progress. Gonna relax this weekend. Hopefully Monday is another good day. I mean, oil's been moving really nicely these last 2 days, Thursday and Friday. Before that, it was not so nice. Let's hope it keeps it up. One more good day and I'll have, 9 accounts done. By the end of next week. With any luck, we'll have them all through this process and into performance mode. So that's what I've got today. I hope you had a good day today. I hope you followed your process. If you have any questions, let me know. Feel free and drop them in the comment box below. And of course, subscribe, like, share. We appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.